I'm your host, Jason Tartick, and welcome to Trading Secrets. We talk all things money on this podcast, and we're teaching all the stuff we just weren't taught in the classroom. Nothing supports this show more than liking, commenting, and of course, subscribing. Welcome back to another episode of Trading Secrets. We are here live in Anaheim at JW. We were at Disneyland all day, and we are here to talk about the numbers, the dollars, the cents, also a little career update, maybe a little personal update, maybe a little financial update, all the things we do on Trading Secrets. We're doing it right here, right now at midnight. To my far left, he's flirting with the girl to his right, but his name is Justin Glaze. He has been in the Bachelor Nation game since 2021. Veteran. We're going to talk a little bit about where his career has gone and where he's come. To his right, the girl he was flirting with. Let you guys make your own judgment. Susie Evans to my left. Now here's the catch. Susie, once upon a time, you used to work for Disney in Japan.
Yes.
That's incredible. Full circle, we'll get to that. All right. Giannina Gibelli, no stranger to the show. No one here is a stranger to the show. You guys announced your relationship on this show. Unbelievable. Oh, yeah.
We did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To my far right, Giannina Gibelli. You have been in the Love is Blind game you guys taped in 2018. You then went live in 2020. You are now dating Blake Horstmann. You have a beautiful
we're still dating.
All right, and to her left, they are confirmed in dating. They're dating.
We are dating.
Blake Horstmann, 2018. Becca Kufrin, season 14 of The Bachelorette. Bachelor in Paradise got you good. Battled back. MTV The Challenge. Found the better half. Now have a son. You've been in the game for this is your 7th year. How
We're
we
good
feeling?
at this. Wow.
How we feeling?
That was a mouthful. Feeling good, man. Feeling
Yeah.
good.
All right. Now let's get into Disneyland.
Happiest place on
Here's
earth,
what's crazy.
baby.
I got some numbers today that said they do around $10 million in revenue a day. 40,000 people walk through those doors. Our tickets today were $250 each. We had a tour guide that was with us. They say it ranges from $600 to $800, and you have to book that person for a minimum of 7 hours. So that's $5,600. That does not include the actual tickets. For me, like, this was such a unbelievable experience. I see why people travel all over the world for that. It's once in a lifetime. I want to go through everyone's peaks today. If you haven't been to Disneyland, no matter what age you are, everyone go through at the park. Was it either a ride? Was it a food? What was your highest high that had to do with the actual park as we just went over the numbers? We'll start with Justin.
Mine was a mixture of the food and the nostalgia. So I'm a big espresso martini guy.
Yeah.
And right time, right place. We're here in October. They had a lot of seasonal treats. So they had a pumpkin spice espresso martini, which spoke to my soul.
You think Walt's looking?
I do.
You think Walt's like watching this like I made?
Yeah,
Walt.
they keep the lights on for him. They keep the lights.
You think
True
he's
story.
You think he's frozen?
And I think legend has it.
I hear they have an actual window so that you can watch the fireworks every night.
In Club 33, they have the window that gives the perfect view for fireworks.
Yeah.
That's where Walt's desk was supposed to be.
So your peak is that Walt is here. Sue,
Said that, not me.
what was your peak? You had a great day in Disneyland. What was it about today?
It's two-part. One, the food.
The food's
The
incredible.
food is fun.
Yeah.
It's like really fun. It's really festive and it's guilt-free because we literally got 20,000 steps in. But
Jason gnawed that turkey leg down to the marrow.
That turkey leg was, honestly, Disneyland, I'm all here for you. That turkey leg was disgusting.
but everything else was amazing. The garlic
Everything
pretzel
else was
bun,
like incredible.
that cheesy garlic
Amazing.
pretzel bread.
That pretzel
The pineapple.
No,
dough.
the coffee.
The
yeah.
Ghirardelli
The cold
sundae.
brews?
The pumpkin fritters.
The
pumpkin
cold brews.
fritters.
So good.
Unbelievable.
And it's all guilt-free because you literally walk it all off. So that's
I like
part
that.
one.
Okay.
Part two is just like the nostalgia as well. I didn't like grow up a Disney magic person thinking, oh my gosh, like blah, blah, blah.
You were literally a princess.
You were.
No, but that's the thing. As an adult, I started to believe in the magic. And then being there today, I was like, the magic is real. Like you see the little kids, you see how special it is. It's real. Like everything is real to those people that like actually embrace it and like believe in it, and that's what's so special.
It's
like,
crazy because
the
you can
nostalgia.
literally be 38 years old and think that the characters are real.
That's true.
Even when they're robots.
We gotta talk about this. What like princesses were you? Like, what? Tell everyone.
I
Like,
wasn't
what?
any princess because the princesses are real. So I just knew them. The magic is real. So I actually wasn't a princess. I just knew the princesses.
What did you do when you worked in Japan for Disney?
I was a performer.
Okay.
Yeah, but like the magic is real. The princesses are real. Any place that you'll be in the park, you'll never see like a princess in Fantasyland, but also in like Toontown, because like Snow White's she only exists, like she is one.
She is.
So
It's like Santa
there's
Claus.
not like multiple like princesses of the same princess out. Yeah, you'll never run into the same princess. There's just Snow White, and she just exists exactly where she exists.
It's the
So like
details. It's all
the
in the
details,
details.
yeah, it's all real.
All right, Trading Secrets. We talk numbers here. What do you get paid for something like that?
It depends on the park and what country you're in.
Okay.
I think Tokyo is one of the better ones. I believe it was $600 a week for my salary, and then they put us up so I didn't have to pay rent. Okay. And then you got $50 a day per diem.
And you're at this age. How old are you at this age?
I was 22.
You decided to go to Japan to do that. What is the next career step?
For me, it was like just an adventure. For a lot of people, it's definitely a career move for performance. So a lot of people go on to perform until they're like in their 30s, and then a lot of people I know do cruise ships, or my dream job. Like, I would love to retire as a cruise ship singer.
Can we give you a beat? Like,
No.
Akun,
No.
Matad, Akun, Matad, Akun, Matad.
Okay, but like, do you sing?
It means no worries. Come on.
Good.
You go.
No,
Give it to
that was
us.
good. No. I feel like y'all too.
If you could have one karaoke song, what would you sing?
Oh, that's really good. I would choose a Disney song, Part of Your World, like Ariel, Easy. I feel like that's the one I would
goes
do.
crazy.
I
Wait,
love
kid,
it.
what?
Yeah.
Which,
See,
like-
that's
Like just
hard
Disney
song.
vibes.
But you can sing too.
Yeah.
All right, Giannina, your peak.
The adrenaline. You know, you become a kid again.
Yeah.
And you're just more, loose and free and running around and like wearing Mickey ears, like some shit that I would never do, but I bought like $25 Mickey ears, which also the merch.
How much did you spend in merch today?
He
Spent way too much.
How much would you say?
Like 400?
400, but it
What'd you
was,
buy? What'd you?
so
what'd you get?
we got
4 things.
we got 2 Mickey ears,
2 Mickey ears,
a
2
T-shirt,
sweatshirts,
and 2 sweatshirts.
and a sweater. Oh, and a
2
dog
sweaters.
toy.
Dog
And a baby Mickey.
Great
Okay,
deal.
$400.
$400.
Yeah, $400.
There's just bliss everywhere.
Yeah,
The
it's
food's
bliss.
incredible. The weather's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then there's such nostalgia because you're seeing these rides and these places that bring you back to like your childhood self, which is
Yeah.
And I'll say this too, and I think Susie kind of touched on it too. There's something about Disneyland that's like completely guilt-free. Like what you eat, how much money you spend. Like I was like
Yeah.
$400. Normally I'd be like, what? Like return half of that, but I was like, we're at Disneyland.
I know,
Like drop
Yeah.
the I was like, put the card down. You know what I mean? So it's something about Disney that's just like, I don't know, it's very freeing.
Yeah, it's very free. I want to bring it back. I've brought up the years that you guys started in this game. One thing I want to ask about is, so you've been in this game now 3 years, been in this game 2 years. Come to you guys in a second here, but like, I was thinking about you two, and we don't, whatever, answer however you will, but you're here. You're at Disneyland. People were asking for pictures of you two. There were times you guys didn't even know, and I saw people taking videos of you two. Are you at all worried about what could come from that, of you guys walking together? Like, do you still think through that? Or you're just like, no, we're here. I don't care.
I think we're on the ladder. I feel like, I think all of us at this table can agree it's really hard when people are so curious about your life. It's not so hard. We're so blessed. But there are elements of that are challenging as you're like navigating parts of your life. When people are
100%.
really curious about your life, which we all totally understand. But yeah, I think that we've just found a way to be very, authentic with ourselves and do what is best for us individually and together, and not worry about what that illusion might look like to outsiders. At least that's how I feel.
I saw the person taking the video. I thought you guys would have been like flinched or whatever. You didn't care at all. Like, I thought it was beautiful. Do you have anything to add to that or no?
I'd say like as long as we're protecting ourselves and doing what's best for us.
Protecting is the biggest word. Gotta protect. Thank you for sharing that. Go back to you guys. You think about 2024, you're here on a trip, you're representing Anaheim, you're representing Disneyland. Did you think 5 years from now, this would still be the case and that your career is at its pinnacle now? And what's your takeaway from that?
Yeah, it's like we must have done something right. We're very lucky and blessed to be able to still do this. Like, we just went to Disneyland, had an amazing time. We're hanging out with this Anaheim and JW Marriott, and it's like, I don't know, I feel very blessed sometimes, and all the time. And no, I didn't think I'd still be here. You know what I mean? Like I know there's
I
been like
did.
ups and downs.
No, really.
That's such a rare thing in this space.
I'm like blindly optimistic, and I'm like naturally rose-colored glasses. And that's why I found myself in situations that have been tricky at times, just because I'm like, it's all gonna work out. And then I'm like publicly humiliated internationally multiple times. But I always think that like one thing leads to another. And if I have good intentions, I'm always gonna keep going up. And I mean, I'm not always like happy-go-lucky all the time. I have like moments where I'm just like, you know, how is this gonna turn out? But I mind trick myself every single time that I have like any doubt or anything like that, just because of how my life has worked out so far. History is just showing me that it's just gonna keep working out. Does that make sense?
It does, but when you say you're internationally humiliated, for the people that are listening to this that say that like they're at their lowest low, like how are you still putting rose glasses on? What are you saying to yourself to get you over that?
I survived the war, so this is nothing compared to that. And in hindsight, I'm gonna just psychoanalyze myself. A lot of things happened in childhood and if you can overcome like those hard moments when you're, you know, younger, then I think you just kind of hardwire yourself to like overcome things in the future. Things get hard and things get tough. Like I was telling you yesterday, it's like nurture versus nature. Things are gonna happen always. Things are gonna happen in your career. Things are gonna happen in your personal life, but it's how you deal with it that you either can stay there and rot or overcome it and thrive.
And since you live that in the limelight, what's the biggest regret you have?
This is so cheesy. I don't have any regrets.
I was trying to find the darkness in this rose glass.
He's trying. That's a good
have
question too.
any.
You know, they say there's no such thing as regret because at a certain point in time, it's exactly what you want.
There's not one thing you would have done.
No, and you know why? Because now I have Heath.
I was just gonna say.
And if I didn't do everything that I would have like regretted, then I wouldn't have like.
We went around the table at dinner today. What was the best thing today? And I feel the majority of us were like, it was our time with Heath. That was special.
I mean, we love Heath. But I think that was just your answer.
Oh, okay.
But we all
We
felt
love
it.
him.
But
He's
we all
adorable.
felt it.
He's amazing.
It's like, I'm ready. We've all had our trials and tribulations, right? Like with things that have worked out and haven't worked out and had to address it and haven't had to address. Like everyone here at the table through reality TV in some capacity has had it. 2018, you go back deep. Is there anything you would have done differently?
So if you would ask me that question a year ago, 2 years ago, I maybe would have said something. But when I have Heath and I look at Heath and I'm like, man, everything led up to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything led up to
Oh, mazel tov.
Bottles popping. Bring Evan in.
Everyone knows I almost took my own eye out.
2 years ago, what would your biggest regret have been?
in a bit of a
We all
petty
get
way,
it.
it would have been like, I wish I had been, I've actually never talked about this. I wish I had been more vocal during the reunion of Paradise.
Saying what?
I've thought about this so many times. No, I think I would have been a little bit more, I think I just would have been a little bit more vocal. I think at that point I was so beaten down that I just kind of like cowered. And I wish I would have been, and they tried to get me to apologize because they sat there and I'm so proud of myself for not more or less apologizing for, you know, the text message or any of that. I'm so glad I didn't, but like they tried so hard and I was so beaten down at that point. I just wanted it to be over and I was just like, you know, just get me out of here. But I wish I would have been a little bit more like chest up, like nose in the air, like, I don't know. I wish I would have
Like
said
this is wrong and this is
yeah,
right.
like I'm glad I did what I did, blah, 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 blah. I just want to get out of there so bad. I was so beaten down at that point.
So you go under the clear head, you're regulated. You weren't then. Now you're regulated. You go back there, you protest for yourself. What does it do for you today, though? Like professionally, financially, everything.
Man, so that's a fantastic question because I don't think it would have done anything other than just like help me. Like I don't think it would have helped my career. Yeah, hurt my career. And even now,
like you wouldn't hold weight towards it. You're saying?
I don't even really hold weight towards it anymore.
Yeah.
But I think the first like 2 years right after Paradise, I think it might have helped my mental health there a little bit because, you know, I'd go to like therapy or whatever, and that would be like the only thing I talked about. It's like I wish I would have said this, wish I would have done this, but like now it wouldn't have really changed anything other than maybe personally, like mentally, it might have helped my, you know, first year or two there, but also maybe that would have, you know, brought up maybe, you know, something, yeah, as maybe say
You're
something.
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
say
know,
something
I
and
know.
it gets taken a different way, or they didn't edit something out, or they edited a different way, and then I'm even worse than I was, you know? So
Yeah, I think like if you told me if you said tomorrow you are gonna die, like you're done. I know it's morbid, but my biggest regret would be not speaking my truth. But at the same point, it's like, what good does that serve?
Exactly.
And what respect does that do to some of the privacy in things that once was had? And it's like, you don't have to, I don't know. Sometimes trust me, I go back. I'm like, I don't have to go there, but I should go there. My pride should go there.
There's a lot of places you could go.
My biggest pride, or one of my biggest points of whatever, being proud of myself, is that I went high when other people went low, and it stayed high. And to this day, I'm praised about it. And it helps because then you think about it and you're like, you're right. Like, I didn't have to do anything because they did the work for me.
Yeah.
And the truth,
That's true.
the truth will out always. And karma is real.
The truth always does surface. It might take a long time, but it will. But sometimes in that process, it feels like you're Rocky Balboa with 4 fucking black eyes and you can't even breathe, trying to just make it to the top. And here we are. Justin, Susie, when you look back at your career in the public spotlight, things have taken a turn. You guys have taken off both your directions. Biggest thing you would have done differently? Justin, we'll start with you.
Like, just with reality TV?
Yeah, since like this career has come to fruition for you.
Honestly, not to like give like a easy out answer, like nothing, because
there's nothing you would have changed.
The things that I ultimately faced turmoil over were out of my control. The thing that the more tumultuous times throughout my reality TV career came almost like unbeknownst to me.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like the way that I conducted myself while filming, like I don't regret a single thing.
I like it.
But the way things were portrayed kind of came as a surprise to me, and things that I learned, and when things came to light of like how the operation was handled, that were unbeknownst to me, is like ultimately what I faced some sort of backlash over. So I prided myself on when I was filming, like staying true to me.
So some of those surprises with like edits and the way things turned out and the way things were maneuvered, you looked as like, I grew to a level that put me in a better spot. Like, it sounds like you're like, I was shocked by some of these things that happened, but it also put me to where I am today. Is that right?
I wouldn't say put me where I am, but I was like, I was surprised by the way some things unfolded.
Yeah.
But like, I don't regret a single conversation I had. I don't regret a single way that I like went about anything. I'm sure, obviously I could have probably done better in some areas, but for the most part, I feel like I represented myself and my family and my friends well.
Yeah.
But there's things like once you leave filming that are out of your control, then I feel like, watching back, I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's how that went.
Yeah.
And ultimately that's why, like, things that I got hate for, but I wouldn't say that necessarily put me in a certain position. I think that, as cliche and cheesy as it is, I think me being me and being able to stay headstrong and know who I am and stay confident in who I am despite any of that is what's gotten me to where I am.
I love it. Susie, when it comes to the creator space, you've done very well. You've excelled. You got a podcast now. Looking back at when you started versus today, just in the creator space, what has been your biggest learning lesson as far as that profession goes?
I was saying this earlier at dinner to G. I was saying, like, the biggest thing I've had to really work on is advocating for myself. I can fight for anyone sitting beside me. If my friends are going through something, if somebody like approaches somebody and does something inappropriate, I will be the first person to shut it down and stand up and fight for justice. I think that there's a part of me that's just like, I know I'll be okay. So I'm like, I don't care. I'll let it go. I'll let it go. But from the time that I was on the show until now, the biggest learning curve for me is that you have to advocate for yourself. And I think that's a business thing that I just never really thought I would have to address and shape within myself, because I don't know, I just didn't really think that was like a tool. I don't know why, but I just didn't really.
I think it's tough because at your core, like, you're a kind person, and sometimes people unfortunately like will take your kindness and take advantage of you.
They take kindness as weakness.
They take kindness as weakness, and so people get accustomed to you being easygoing and easy to work with, easy, just yes.
Yeah.
And they abuse that.
And my mentality used to be like, okay, well, I'll take note, and then I'll like move forward with that understanding for myself. But then it's like, oh, well, then I see everything around me and how people handle things. I can just advocate for myself and make this better and like hold people accountable. And that's something that I've had to like really work on, because it's like, it's hard. Like, hard conversations are really tough to navigate in business for me, because I'm like, I feel so unprepared and like not well versed. And you don't know what's normal, what's not in the creator space. You're learning as you go. And then, it's been really tricky, but that is the one thing where I'm like, I need to apply some of the other things from like my personal life where I'm like I feel like I'm such an open communicator where I like say how I feel or like what I'm experiencing. But in business, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Put your foot down.
Yeah, like I need to
yourself.
really fight for
like
myself.
that.
So that's like been the hardest thing for me. And if I could go back knowing what I know now, I'm like, I would definitely
Push harder for
push
yourself.
harder. Yeah.
And advocate for yourself. We have some Disney questions coming up. We're going to do a little trivia. But before we get into that, I wonder about 2018, 2022, 2021, 2018. We've talked about in this podcast over and over. The creator space can be very lucrative. It can be very rewarding. While there's downside, there's also so much privilege. Do you at all worry about the longevity of it? When you talk to friends, when you talk to family, when you think about planning for more kids, when you think about what future might look like, there's so many jobs that are 9-to-5s, that are concrete, that are solid salaries that in 10 years will still be there. Do you at all worry about that? And then what does that look like for you? For good, bad, ugly, like how do you approach it in a space where you're very rewarded in this world to have something concrete locked up where it's made to feel good and be there? But also, you take a high risk in our space, but you can also be really rewarded. So how do you handle that?
I'll go first because it's actually something that I talk about all the time in therapy because I feel like I'm always fighting this internal battle with myself. So I grew up in a very stable, my dad's been at the same job for 35 years. My mom's been at the same job for 30 years. So for me, financial stability was always, there was a paycheck coming in. I didn't have my whole family is like teachers and government workers. So like I never had an entrepreneur in my family. I never had anybody who was like high risk, high reward, or even be sales. So for me, when I jumped into this space, I was constantly stressed. And G can kind of speak to this too, or she would tell you the same, like, I am constantly stressed about the next paycheck because I don't know when it's going to come. I don't know where it's coming from sometimes. Yeah. So I am constantly stressed out about that. So I'm constantly fighting this inner battle of like, it's going to be okay. Like it's going to come. It's going to come. Even if I don't care how much money I have saved in the bank. Yeah. If I don't know where that next paycheck is coming from, I lose sleep.
You have like
it's been very hard for me. So I quit my job. I worked at Coors 8 months after the show aired. So I quit basically kind of the beginning of 2019. Ever since then, it's been this battle for myself. Just being like you're in this space now, you're an entrepreneur. And like I've made more money the last, 5 years than I would have 20 years in my own job. But yet it still keeps me up at night. I still get anxiety because I don't know where it's coming from. So that's been something I'm trying to.
How do you solve it?
I haven't solved it, to be honest. I still have anxiety over it. And no matter how good of a year I have or whatever, if I go 2 weeks without getting a call for a new deal or a new DJ gig, like I'm freaking out. I am complete, I have anxiety. Yeah. So I haven't found a way to solve it, to be completely honest.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. All right, then let's pivot to you guys. How have you handled that? Especially living in LA, cost of living is expensive, so you have to keep up with it. And the thing about the creator space is, again, there's so many benefits, there's so many pros, so many cons. How do you handle that? Do you worry about the long-term thing? Does mom and dad knock on your door and say, Justin, what are you going to do in 2 years from now?
With mom and dad, no. So I mean, my as you know, my background was in finance.
Yeah.
And so for a while, like first coming off the show, like I kind of hung my hat on, I went back to my 9-to-5 and like, I'm not going to be like these influencers. Like I'm going to have my stable career and do this on the side. Right. Yeah. I was like very proud of that. And I came to find out like I wasn't necessarily proud of that like just for me, because that's what I wanted, but more so like my upbringing was also very much, working in healthcare administration. My mom was a teacher, and just my whole entire family, stable careers. Like nobody in my immediate family went the entrepreneurial route, right? So it wasn't like a norm. Neither was going on reality television, right? So that was the first hurdle with my family of like, hey, I've always known, like we talk, like from a young age, I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna be different, and I don't know what this looks like, but like my life isn't gonna be just linear, right? And I just had a feeling, I didn't know what it was gonna be. Yeah. And so taking that leap of faith and convincing my parents, they were skeptical about me going on reality television. Yeah. And I was like, I trust myself, trust me, and like it's gonna work out. So I did it, showed well, and once they saw the first like physical, social media check, they were like, oh wow, because it just wasn't the norm of their generation. So they didn't know this was like as lucrative as it could be, right? But I was doing that and still working in finance. And I'm a strong believer that, when you take that leap, like that proverbial net will appear, and I will always bet on myself, count on myself, and I know I'm not going to let myself fail. And so I would rather live that life of chance for the upside than to play it safe and look back and say, wow, I had this time, this point in my life where like I could have taken that risk and I didn't. And what if, right? And so I think it's normal. Well, I do think of the longevity of it, right? Where it's like, okay, how long can I do this?
Yeah.
And I think that's normal. But I also look at this space, and in theory, I'm 3-4 years removed. You guys are even further. And there's people that be like, oh, you do it for a little bit, and then you know, it's the next crop. But there's something special about each of us where we've been able to maintain it.
Sure.
Right? So I think at a certain point, you have to realize that you're hot right off of the show because you're just identified and associated with the franchise. But at a certain point, there's new crops coming out. So it's like you have to bring something else to the table that's unique and valuable where you're creating content, where it's like Jason Tartick, the creator of the podcast. So it's all these things that aren't just from The Bachelor.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So it's like if you're able to have that something special and maintain that career in this industry, it's not because you were on some reality television show once you're a couple years removed. I know that I'm talented in other areas than being a reality television personality, right? But that being said, still using that right brain, left brain creative and also business mindedness, you know, I'm also working on things to like kind of set myself up where I always say like if the internet were to shut down tomorrow, I still have something that like I've built.
I like it.
Right? So that's kind of how I deal with it, where I'm like, okay, this is great. I'm so fortunate and blessed while I can do this. But if that were to be stripped from me tomorrow, I want to make sure that I am set up for a position of success.
Sounds like you might have a product or something coming out sometime soon.
Perhaps.
We'll have to have you back on when that potentially launches.
Yes, sir.
Do you, Susie, at all, do you battle with that? The concern of, will this be forever? Will this be here in 2 years, 3 years from now? How do you deal with that?
I definitely do battle with that. I've always been a bit like non-traditional in my career, which I think it's like very opposite. I think like just even our family dynamics are so different. Where like I think, well, I don't know how different this is, but like my dad was like a musician and like a writer and an entrepreneur, and then became a businessman later in life. Like he had me when he was 40.
Yeah.
But he had this like dream for the early portion of his life to be like just very, he was just like such a free spirit. And my mom is like similarly was, I mean, she was younger, but like they were just very, like they were not necessarily a straight and narrow path, but then they took a very straight and narrow, and it was always very, probably similar to how you guys grew up. I never saw anything but like normal and healthy from what I saw as a kid. You know, of course there were major struggles, but I didn't see them. They never like showed that to me, and I just didn't know. But then I think because my dad was such a creative, like there was such an encouragement growing up to be like, you can do it.
You can do it.
Whatever you want. My parents believed in me so much that I'm like, I literally was kind of terrible half the time. And they were like, you're amazing.
You got this.
They were like, you're amazing. Like, oh my gosh, you're going to be a Disney princess. And like, they were just so supportive. And I just genuinely believed I can do anything. It was that young belief in yourself that it's all going to be fine. And there absolutely are times where I have been scared shitless of how I'm going to pay my rent. I have been scared at times in my life of like, what am I doing? But at the same time, I'm like, I'm a hustler. I know how to make money. I know how to get on Craigslist. When I was 21, I was like working at Warped Tour selling Gatorades. It was sketchy. But I've always known how to make money. Even to this day, absolutely, I feared like this could all end tomorrow because the internet could shut down or TikTok could go away or whatever. Like there's so many things that could happen, but like I know I will figure it out because I've always been able to make money from the time I was like 14 years old. I've been working. And like, honestly, anybody, like if you've ever like figured out how to make money when you're in a tough situation, it's like you can figure it out when you're put like
when your back's against the wall.
When your back's against the wall,
underestimate yourself.
You figure it out. And so I do have that like faith in myself that I'm like, even if it all went away, like
You'll figure it out.
Figure out something. That'll come up with a little something to like.
I feel like we're both similar to, and probably all of us, like, I don't want anyone to worry about me, especially my parents, although their careers were very linear. Like, they would support anything that I wanted to do, right? Like, no matter what it is, they may question it, but at the end of the day, if I say I want to do something, they're going to fully support me, right? And It's crazy. So after I was working my finance job, I went on Paradise and I took 6 months off of working a 9 to 5. I kind of missed the 9 to 5, so I went back to working for a fintech startup, and I was all set to move to LA, right? I found my spot in June, went back to Baltimore to close up my house, came back, ended up actually not having that job anymore.
Okay.
And so I was like, shit, I'm moving to LA in 3 weeks. My rent's going up 3x.
Yeah.
I'm not telling my parents because they're gonna freak out.
Yeah, of course.
And so I said, okay, here we go. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna double down and just go hard.
Figure it out.
Creative, figure it out. Get ready, right? And like, knock on wood, it has been by far like the most incredible year for me. And it's just because like I know that I'm not gonna let myself fail. Your back's against the wall. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be surprised what you're capable of.
I love it. Here's an alternative thought and question to what we're talking about. We're talking a lot about I and us, and we're talking a lot about parents. Parents will obviously want you to pursue your passion, but I'm curious if any of your situations, these relationships or others, have parents ever communicated their concern with not what you're doing, but maybe what your partner might be doing in a creator space, like find someone more stability. Do you find that that's ever been an issue at all?
My parents know, but I come from a Latin family and there are many hands in the pot. So aunts, uncles, other people
Like
that are
opinions,
in.
you say?
Yeah, like, so it takes a village, right, to raise a child. So I have a village. So my village wasn't just my parents. And so when it came to doing Love is Blind on Netflix, season 7 just came out now, I only had the support of like my mom and dad, but that was it. And then I had to go through that whole experience, like literally having like 10 voices in my ear telling me that I'm doing something wrong and still doing it. And then I was kind of like, not exiled, but just, they weren't proud of me for a while. And then Love is Blind became Love is Blind. And so then I proved everybody wrong. And that was the coolest moment ever.
Yeah.
But it was really hard. But I've always kind of like been like the black sheep. And so if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're like, but like my family is, you know, in finance and my brother is like literally like the most like straight and narrow scholarship, electrical engineer, and then there's me, and there was just so many like I veered left with everything, and everybody in my family veered right, and now I'm thriving.
Wow. That is an unbelievable story. You continued to pursue even when maybe the people behind you didn't have your back, but you're like, I got this. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go into a Disney game. Before we do, everyone take your phones out. Get your notepad app out. This is a Jim Carrey game right here.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Put your notepad out. Everyone got it open. Jim Carrey, when he was going to LA, he had a blank check and he wrote a check to himself for a certain amount. I'm not going to say that amount because I don't want it to influence you. But he wrote the amount and then he said, I'm going to manifest it. And he put it on his fridge and he said, in LA as an actor, I'm going to make this amount of money. He made that amount of money. So I want you guys to put your number. You have a blank check in as a creator, reality TV star, an actor, a artist, whatever it is that you might do in the future on top of what you already do. What is that number? You have a blank check. Where is it going on your fridge? We're going to start with you, G. What's your number?
$10 million.
And why 10 million?
I have the number.
Don't change your numbers.
I've had the number in my head, $10 million, for a really, really long time.
Okay.
And then I recently got something, and they said I wouldn't have to do X until we made $10 million, and that was a pretty cool.
There you go. All right, there's that. There's something to this. What's your number?
10 million.
Let me see. Okay, why is yours just 10 million?
I don't know. It's always been the number for me too. I think if you would ask me this question years ago, would have been 10 million. I would have been like $1 million.
Yeah.
But I think now it's like I see there's so much money out there to be made.
What was yours?
Okay, mine has been this number for about 2 years. I have a
I can vouch for that. You should just stick a note on our card. that says that.
I have a vision board, and it has like, so shout out to Nia Sanchez, because when I was working in Tokyo Disneyland, she, I think, was Miss USA the year before. She was on my vision board as Miss USA, and I was like, I want to go to Miss USA as Miss Virginia. I did that. I accomplished that like 3 or 4 years later. And now I have Nia Sanchez on my vision board, but for a different reason. As at that time, it was because I wanted to like be able to photograph as well as this photographer named Fadil. And so it was a photo by Fadil of Nia Sanchez. So like she's been on my vision board forever. And this number of $750,000 has been something that I'm like, I want to make that much money, like as a creator, as a photographer, as whatever. And it's just been a number that I've been like, one year, that's what I'm gonna do.
Let's go. I love it.
And so like 2 years ago, I made that number and I have it on there as like a goal for myself.
Let's go. I love that. All right, Justin, bring us home.
I may sound insane.
What do you got? Sicko. What is this?
Billion.
What'd you put?
$31 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's hear it. Why?
I run a lot of numbers. I'm also very superstitious. My favorite number is 13. One of my sports numbers was 31, but also like playing around with valuations with a company that I'm starting and just having conversations. Like I've just had it in my head that not that I'm entering this industry or this business to sell out, because I'm actually passionate about this. Like I'm not entering something to just sell, right? Like, but eventually it's what you do. And so I've just had this number where I'm like, X number of years. That's why I asked like what time frame.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, like I'm just confident that this will be a success, and eventually my valuation will be 25, 30 million plus, and that's a number that
I love it.
I'll sell that.
I love it.
How about you,
Your
Jason?
number?
You have to share your number.
Wait, what's my? Well, I didn't do the exercise, but if I like had to do it, it would be right around the $10 million mark. But here's why, and here's the cool thing about the question. Jim Carrey, when he does it, he says 10 million. He said 10 million 20 years ago. So the first time I ever heard it, here's the kind of the psyche of it. I did 10 million, but the reason I did 10 million was because I knew I figured out the numbers that I can live the same lifestyle I live right now if I have around 7 to 10 million in liquid assets. So I know if I get to that number, I can kind of like retire at this lifestyle. But what was really fascinating about that is when you hear a number, you actually start to create your mindset towards that number. So I instantly thought 10 million. And there's a whole like business case study of when you put the number out first, which I didn't put out, you'll try and emulate that and then justify your reasoning. And really all the whatever number, it should be your own brain and how you're going to get there annually or if at the end of your career, because your behaviors will change. We try to adjust it. And it's fascinating when you're around a group of people. Like if you said 100 million and you said a billion and I said 100,000 and you think about all the different things you'd have to do to try and get all of these, and the behaviors day to day would change drastically. So the idea is like continue to think bigger, continue to push it, because then the behaviors that you'll do day to day will have to be pushed to that extremity. So that being said, let's get into a couple Disney facts and then we will wrap. This has been a fun podcast, Trading Secrets, a very different one, a roundtable, all different A to Z. Here we go. Get your notepads out.
Okay.
What is the highest grossing Disney movie ever? 5, 4, 3, 2,
Oh my gosh.
1. Highest gross Disney movie ever. Justin, go.
Toy Story.
Toy Story.
I said Frozen.
Frozen.
Toy Story.
Lion King.
Avengers.
Oh, that makes sense.
Endgame. 2.8 billion.
I was thinking Pixar.
Wait,
Okay.
Lion King.
Here we go.
Really bad.
Lovely.
000.
Okay.
How many Disney movies have ever been made here in Disneyland at JW Marriott? Come check out Anaheim. This place is unbelievable. Let's start with you, Giannina Gibelli.
44.
44.
150.
150.
47.
52.
The answer is 129 with 8 more in production. Blake gets that point. Here we go. What year was Disneyland built? What year was Disneyland built? Go.
1933.
1968.
1933.
1929.
1955. That's a big one there for Suze. All right, here we go. This is a fun one. How long did it take to build Disneyland? Starting with you, Susie. How long did it take to build the Disneyland?
3 years.
6 years.
No, like 12.
5.
365 days. In an annual basis here in Anaheim, Disneyland, how many days is Disneyland open? Starting with you, Justin, in a year. 365 days in a year. How many days is Disneyland open in Anaheim?
365.
365 every day. Yeah.
355.
355. 365.
363.
Answer 365 every single
365
day.
That's
what I figured.
Day. Let's go. One last one. Here we go. What is the highest grossing Disney animated movie ever? We're going to start with you, Justin.
Toy Story.
How much?
Oh, I'm gonna say
All time?
What is the highest grossing Disney
Toy
animated
Story
movie?
at $5 billion.
I actually think it's Toy Story 2. It was $2 billion.
I'm gonna say Frozen and 2 billion.
Giannina?
Toy Story.
Answer Inside Out 2, 1.5 billion. Hey, come on now, we're talking. Here we All right, but we are here, Anaheim, Disney. Visit Anaheim if you guys haven't been. It is an unbelievable experience. JW Marriott. There is only one question left at this podcast. Evan, what's the question? What is one question we should wrap with?
Trading secret.
Justin and Susie, are you guys dating?
That's so crazy. That was very
You
blunt.
know what we are doing? Protecting our peace.
Protecting our
Protecting your
Protecting
peace
your
in a
peace.
world it
That's
is
a trading
so hard to
secret.
do. What
That's
a
a good one.
great answer. That was beautiful.
Love.
All right, let's end with the trading secret. Giannina, did you just fart?
No, that was the chair.
Dude, it sounded like you lifted a cheek out. Like, no way. Like, let's
No, but Justin
let them
did.
go home. Did you just let one
He's
rip?
been ripping them all night. That's a joke. I'm joking. I'm joking.
There's the Instagram reel right there. There's the Instagram reel. There's the teeth.
That's what makes it sizzle.
Justin's like,
He's literally
so
trying to
much
win me
for
back.
protecting our peace.
sizzle.
This is the sizzle reel right
Does
there.
he do silencer PP7s or does he do the bops?
All of the above.
Couples that fart together stay longer. Same.
There you go.
They say.
We blow it up.
All right, Gene.
So you are a couple.
We used to blow it up.
Good save. Good save. Good save.
Genie and Gibelli, what do you got? One trading secret. It could be Disney related, it could be Anaheim related, it could just be life related. What do you got?
Disney
No, it could be anything.
Max out your 401k and start a trust fund for your kids.
Oh, all right.
Trust fund for the
Absolutely,
kid
for the
thing
kids,
is
529.
big.
Custodial Roth IRA. We'll talk about those in the recap. What do you
529.
got, sir?
So I'm going to steal this from Susie from earlier. Advocate for yourself. You're worth more than you think. You're worth more than they think.
I'll throw one in there. The second you are involved with business people or personal or family or friends that take your value and believe your value is lower than it is, make sure you challenge it because you should forever hold your ground on what value you bring to the table. Susie, what do you got for us?
Love that. I'm gonna double down. Advocate for yourself. Know your worth, and even if you don't fully know it, just put yourself out there and believe in yourself.
Before I go to Justin, I'm going to go back to you. You obviously had to learn how to do this. You had to step in these conversations, so you had to negotiate for yourself. What's one negotiating thing that's worked out for you or that you would tell people to think about?
Like leaning on what you're feeling. I know that sounds
The
like
gut?
yeah, like your gut, but also when you actually communicate with somebody. I recently had something in business come up and I didn't want to address it because I felt like I was kind of like done dirty and I didn't want to address it. Honestly, just like put yourself out there, say how it makes you feel. And it doesn't even have to be about business, but this is affecting how I'm feeling and all of this. Like, I need you to know how this action makes me feel. And so, yeah, you don't even have to like throw out numbers or throw out like business all the time. Like sometimes you can just be like, hey, I'm a human and this makes me feel something. So like if you don't feel comfortable talking business always, you can just like express yourself. And that,
I like that.
helps
You don't have
too.
to say it. You can say like, when you say this, it's making me feel this. Or
Yeah.
when I'm only getting this raise, I'm not even talking about what I deserve, but like, this is what it makes me feel. Underappreciated.
When I see your other clients
Yeah.
making that much money, why are you giving me that bullshit?
Yeah. or that. Or that.
You're fired.
I think some lessons from y'all. I think.
A good Chris Boss trick. He says when you go into negotiations, if your boss had told you something, if you do X, Y, and Z, you'll get this. He says, don't even bring up the number. Just say, if you are my boss, you're the leader I look up to, how do you expect me to feel if I have done those things and you are coming through with your promise? Like imagine how that would make your boss feel or the owner of the company,
Yeah.
right?
Like give people the power
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
show up as the person you need them to be.
100%.
Yeah.
Justin, bring us home.
Okay. So Does anyone know the history behind the cheers? So the history behind the cheers is that in medieval times, when they cheers, liquid was supposed to splash into each other's chalice, so that if one party was poisoning the other, they both die.
That's your secret.
Giannina Gibelli, where can people find you?
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Darlings, there's BTS of this at Giannina Gibelli. Where can they find you?
Play course, where can everyone find everything?
Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at Balake, BALOCKAYE.H. And I'm on Spotify at Play Course.
I love that you said I love it. What a supportive queen over there.
Okay, Susie C. Evans on Instagram. Susie was like on TikTok. I just started a new podcast, Live, Laugh, Lies. Go check it out. It's fun. It's juicy.
It is juice. Those clips are unbelievable. Congratulations on that podcast.
Thank
Bring
you.
us home.
We can find him on at Justin Glaze, and we're gonna wrap this bad boy up with a little Trading Secrets prediction, since we're all going to Dancing with the Stars in 48 hours. And so we are gonna go around here, and we are going to predict and guess who is going to be holding the trophy at the end of the season on Dancing with the Stars.
Last wrap. JW Marriott, Dancing with the Stars, predictions here in Anaheim. Who's winning?
The Olympic chick. Alona. I just won it way too many times. Sorry, no shade, but you can't win it again. Sorry, Joey.
I'm telling Joey. No, God, that's a good question. I think Joey's going to get top 4.
Yeah.
I hope he gets top 2.
Yeah. I hope he wins it. But
I
he's
do
not.
too. He's he's way better than I
He's
thought.
good.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. Always good to be on Trading Secrets.
It's always good to have you.
What's your
guys
trading
on Trading.
secret?
My trading secret? Expect the unexpected. That's all I got.
Okay.
I'm telling you, never in a million years, I think at 35 years old, I'd be going to Disneyland. Here I am. It was an unbelievable day,
a good
unbelievable
week.
time. We all had a good time.
First time?
Yeah, first time. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Trading Secrets. One you couldn't afford to miss.